Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad to have you here. I am going to take a look today. I usually check in with you all on Sundays. I'm taping this early Sunday morning. And wow, first thing I want to take a look at is we know there is going to be a huge, so we saw everything that happened Friday with Putin, like, come on. What an abject failure and embarrassment. But Spirit said, I did a reading on it, many others have as well, and said this was going to be so much theater and nothing was going to come of it. That, in fact, is what happened. But now we have the meeting coming up tomorrow, Monday, with Zelensky coming in. But Zelensky is coming in deep with his posse, right? We have, I saw, you've got the head of NATO coming in. You've got Ursula, EU President Ursula von der Leyen coming in, Keir Starmer with the UK, German Chancellor Merz is going to be a part of it, Italian leader Giorgia Meloni is going to be a part of it. Finland even is going to be a part of it with Alexander Stubb. And of course, you know, Francis Macron wouldn't miss it for the world. Mark Carney, we understand, is not going to be there, but has already, you know, said some things in terms of what he thinks is fair, and making sure that the U.S. offers some security clearances or security apparatus in terms of any deal that is reached, any settlement agreement that is reached with Russia. So Carney's, has lent his voice to the situation, but I don't think he's planning to be there. That said, we know how things went back in February, how horribly Zelensky was treated and how things kind of escalated. Want to take a look, go to Spirit today and see, what is on the table and how that meeting is going to go, especially because Zelensky will not be alone this time. He's got a whole posse and everybody's got an interest in this and they want to be heard. And they're saying, we're not going to watch this happen to you again. What happened to you in February, Zelensky, we won't allow that to happen to you again. Old boy DJT, we'll call him that for the day. He is already angry. He's seething. Why? Because he doesn't like the fact that Zelensky is garnering all of this genuine support, and yet he has nobody, and he's seeing increasingly that he is so disliked on the global world stage. He doesn't have support. Even Putin, just the whole thing was to make him look humiliated and embarrassed, and he fell for it. So that said, for entertainment purposes only, right? And by the way, if you're new to the channel, you're just landing here, I'm a Fefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Clearly, I'm a tarot and oracle reader. I'm also a former newspaper journalist, so I try to stay kind of grounded in my readings, try to, get the facts, at least as much good information as we can get these days. That's getting tougher and tougher. And I'm also an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So all that said, want to take a look at that. Want to take a look at the escalating military occupation of DC. Many of you have been emailing and leaving comments around is this something that's going to continue to grow? We know that we've seen indications he wants to do this in many blue states and in particular blue cities that have mayors of color, right? That's the agenda. We're going to take a look at that. And finally, many of you, and I was kind of intrigued by this myself. I'm glad you reached out. Many of you have been asking, what's the latest with Ivanka and Jared Kushner? Are they coming back in on the scene? Because we know that the cabinet is fraying, right? The word on the street is, in the wake of this meeting that happened on Friday in Alaska, that cabinet walked away extremely shaken. You had Susie Wiles, Marco Rubio, Witkoff, who apparently engineered this whole meeting. He had gone to Moscow earlier and sat down with Putin's double, whomever. For entertainment purposes only. But the bottom line is we're understanding that this whole cadre around, the cabinet they are very, very upset and jittery, whether it's whether it's DJT's continued diminishment. We saw him staggering up the red carpet. There have been additional images that have been released around his cankles when he sat down, that swelling around his ankles. So we know whatever is going on with his health, yeah, they're trying to, deal with it, but it is what it is, and we're seeing more evidence of it. All right, let's go in, you all. Let's see what's happening. Spirit. I'm going to cleanse the deck. Spirit, this meeting in D.C., Zelensky and company, all of these leaders that are coming in to support him as well and have their voices be a part of it. What will be the outcome of the meeting with Zelensky around Ukraine and reaching a deal with Russia? What will happen tomorrow, Monday? The meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders and NATO around the war between Ukraine and Russia. We have the King of Swords, so that I feel like that is Zelensky taking center stage and being extremely prepared. He has had so many meetings and has built such a strong relationship now with the allies throughout Europe and NATO. He's ready. We have the Hermit that shows up. All right, this is the attention to detail. This is what needs to go into a peace agreement, right? What actually is it? What he's prepared to bring to the table, that King of Swords. So Zelensky's not walking into this, you all, waiting to hear what DJT has to say, right? Or what anybody on this side has to say in terms of Russian interests. He's walking in ready to, lay out on the table. These are my red lines. These are my lines in the sand, and I will not cross those lines. He's got that in place. We have the Ace of Wands, that Spirit confirming. If you read with me, when I pull aces tend to be a yes, and that's my Spirit team saying, yes, I'm on track with that. So what's interesting about these three cards that we've got so far, you all, is Spirit is showing us that this team, Zelensky and the European leaders, they are not coming here to say, okay, tell us what you've got in mind. Tell us what really came out of your meeting with Putin, and then we will figure out what we're going to say or do or respond to that. They are walking in with their own agenda. Zelensky, in particular, walking in with his own agenda about what he will and will not agree to. Spirit, how will Zelensky be treated? Let's look at that as well. How will he be received and treated at this meeting? We have the Two of Swords. A little two-faced. And Death. They call it the broom in this deck. By the way, I have many readers who watch the channel today. I'm reading with the Cozy Witch Tarot deck. So, Death and the Two of Swords. It's not, he's going to be, DJT is going, and et al., Marco Rubio et al. We know JD Vance is not even supposed to be there this time, and he really got involved in February, and his behavior was deplorable for entertainment purposes only, right? But there's the contrast in the treatment toward Zelensky is going to be so glaringly apparent, is what Spirit is saying. And so that Death is saying that's one reason why Zelensky is almost like, I have nothing to lose at this point, not by being aggressive towards, DJT and company, but by absolutely saying, here's where I will not bend. I want an end to the war, right? Clearly, I want that. But there are areas in that Two of Swords. There are areas that I simply will not allow you to try and back me into a corner and tell me what I gotta do in order to have this, have a peace agreement, a peace deal reached. Now, And the Nine of Cups, exactly. This is going to be about what I want, meaning Zelensky. This is going to be operating from a position of strength. And so that Two of Swords that's going to throw DJT off a little bit, because he, in his world, in his mind, and again, the people who are in his ear telling him, you are top dog here, you're in control, but it's already been established that he's not, because of how things worked, how things came out on Friday. He recognizes, and that's why those cabinet folks were so shaken up. He recognizes how diminished he looked, how ineffective he looked, how the king of Art of the Deal, there wasn't even a proposition of a deal. Like, not only did a deal not get reached, but a real proposition of what could be done. None of that was done. Spirit, this is the tough one. Will the U.S. offer security as an incentive for a peace deal on behalf of Ukraine? Because that's also what the European Union leaders and NATO, that's what they're pushing for, right? The U.S. is going to have to be willing to step up and offer that security. Will the U.S. offer that security? We have strength. So yeah, he may put that on the table, you all, or that, at least from their perspective, is going to be a part of, like, bottom line, we will not go forward with a deal without some assurances from the U.S. that you will help protect any further invasion of the land. Now, I have also been getting from my spirit guides that there will be some relinquishment of land in Ukraine, but nothing compared to what Putin is asking for, right? He wants it all, that whole swath of land. Not that. Zelensky is like, and the European Union is backing him up on that. Nope, that is not going to happen. But there's some sort of wiggle room where they may, Spirit, will the Ukraine have to agree, or agree to relinquish some of its land, some small portion of its land? At the Seven of Cups, don't want to do it, but the options are on the table. Like, you're going to have to choose something. What is the meat on the bone for Russia to enter into an agreement? They got to put some meat on that bone. And it even says, thank you, Spirit. I looked down these cards in this deck, the Cozy Witch Tarot. They have these little descriptions on the bottom. Check out this one in the Seven of Cups. It says, not every great option you're given will be a great option for you. Check that out, if that ain't Spirit talking to us. Not every great option you're given is a great option for you. So in relation to whether or not Ukraine is going to have to agree to relinquish some portion of land. Again, I'm not getting that that's going to be anywhere near what Putin and Russia has been saying they want. Not going to happen, but something. You got to give something to get something. Spirit, bottom line, to close this out, what will be the overall outcome of this meeting on Monday with Zelensky and the European leaders and the White House? Flipped out of the deck, the Nine of Wands, a lot of work still to be done. So again, I feel like that Spirit saying there's no bright lights, boom, we've reached, we all know, we're all singing off the same sheet right now. We know exactly what we need to do. There's still a lot of work. But also, check it out. I love this deck. The bottom line here under that Nine of Wands, it says, it would take a hell of a lot more to defeat you. Check that out. It would take a hell of a lot more to defeat you. So, out of this meeting, Zelensky is going to come away from a position of strength, you all. The humiliation that he suffered, not that he didn't come across or come away strong in February. He held his ground and he stood up, and he did that alone. This time he's got the posse backing him up. So definitely Spirit. So this is DJT is going to walk away from this. The outcome is he's going to suffer further embarrassment because of his lack of effective leadership. Is that what you're showing me? Zelensky will come out and the European leaders come out looking stronger than ever. Three of Swords, he's going to be hurting you all. And he's going to feel betrayed. He's going to feel betrayed by, in particular, they're telling me, who's the one that he seems to get along? Keir Starmer, right? UK. Because Starmer's gonna be a diplomat, as you know, he's gonna walk that wire. But at the end of the day, he is there to support and be a part of the European Union backing Zelensky. He's gonna walk away feeling very, very injured. DJT is walk away feeling very injured. And the Nine of Pentacles, he's gonna try and spin it that monetarily, European Union, do you really want to continue to fund this war on behalf of Ukraine? He's going to try and get in their heads and say, look, we got to make sure this comes to an end, because ultimately this is coming out of your pocket as well, right? We've agreed to continue to supply weapons, but you got to buy them from us. And how much, with everybody's economies being shaken right now, how much are you willing to do that? That's that Nine of Pentacles, and that's what DJT is going to try and get in their heads with. Like, okay, you can back him up if you want to, but it's about to cost you some real money, and is that money that you really have right now? That's what he's going to try and spend coming out of this. And I got an Ace of Swords. Spirit is confirming. That's it, right? So for him, this comes down, for DJT, this comes down to making sort of that monetary appeal. Like, all of us need to stop this because it's costing you all money that you don't have. But Zelensky will be the victor in this meeting. His willingness to negotiate, but negotiate from a place of strength and not capitulate to Russia, is going to be extremely evident, and that is something that DJT will not have an answer for, and it's going to further enrage him. But notice that it came in a Three of Swords, not fire, not anger, because he's running out of energy, you all. He's running out of steam. He doesn't have enough gas in the tank to be enraged. He's literally scrambling at this point, right? It's going to be a very interesting situation. All right, military occupation. So we have West Virginia, Ohio, and South Carolina now who have volunteered to send additional National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. We know that yesterday there were protests in, I think I saw 34 different states, protesting fascism, protesting everything that needs to be protested at this time. Spirit, will we see an increased... So I will confirm, I'm getting number one, this is going to be a bit of a slog in D.C. The 30-day thing that, was like, okay, DJT can put this in place for 30 days and then something has to happen. I'm going to ask that one to jump out. What was that? It was the Star, exactly, moving forward. So the people are not going to be deterred. Point blank period. And the movement is growing, as we saw in the protest yesterday. But their intention and hope is to prolong this, you all. This is nothing about 30 days and then everything goes back to normal. DC is the plan to occupy DC, have military occupation in DC for the long term. Death to change it, but it will come to an end. There's not enough... the reasoning behind it, the evidence that there is this state of emergency in DC to warrant continued occupation doesn't exist. The Two of Swords, the conflict. How do we, it's like pulling the wool over people's eyes to create an emergency that simply is not there. So that's already in place and people already see that. How do you continue to justify that moving forward? Spirit, will they have to pull back these resources from DC? We have the Eight of Swords. They're worried about that because it looks like another loss and another instance of them talking a lot and not really being able to back it up to their base. And that's why you had these Congress people, these GOP Congress people suddenly coming out saying, yeah, I agree with this. I'm afraid to leave my office at night, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're trying to come up with reasons to prolong it. But Ace of Wands. No, I do get the sense, Spirit, will it go longer than 30 days? Will there be an occupation longer than 30 days? Will they exceed that? Seven of Pentacles. They're trying to figure out their darndest best how to do so. But again, it's about justification. It's about how do we, because they've gone and gone after the homeless in DC. There's no real, the intimidation tactics going into the hood, into neighborhoods, and just, yapping off. But there's no there. And the Nine of Wands, they're going to run out of steam. And this is also the actual guard. This is the National Guard. We remember, Spirit is reminding me, remember the National Guard when they were deployed in LA, no place for them to stay, their provisions, their food, the water, like the treatment of the guard in LA was not up to par. It was not up to standard. And they were not trained for that sort of interaction, that sort of intervention on domestic soil and in these cities. And that's still the case. It's overtaxing and overburdening. Notice even all the bandages on her hand with that fire. This becomes too much, is what Spirit is saying. So there's not enough agreement. There's not enough manpower. Well, the manpower exists, but Spirit is saying what is the plan? What is the duty? How do we execute the duty? It doesn't exist. And that becomes more and more blatantly obvious, is what Spirit is showing with that Nine of Wands. And again, the Three of Swords, they don't want to do this. Our troops do not want to do this. This is injuring morale, both among the citizenship and within the troops. And there will be regret. And there's the Emperor, exactly. This idea that they will not follow a leader who is not leading them and is not doing it in a way that they can logically fulfill their duties, or with heart fulfill their duties. And they almost feel like they're operating without a leader. And they're also looking, I feel like this is military leadership. Spirit, am I right about that? Is this military leadership finding a way to circumvent this momentum? Nine of Pentacles, yes. This is, and I'm getting a cross-section of military leadership, like National Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Like, this is something within military leadership that is coalescing and will continue to coalesce if this push is continued around sending troops and always having that occupying military occupying forces in these cities. They're going to hear more, and they're going to be turning more to military leadership, Emperor, to get their direction, to help them make sense of what they're being asked to do, and when it makes no sense, when they don't have clear direction, and when they are not being treated and provided for in an appropriate way. All right, and the Knight of Pentacles. It's slow, but it's steady. Slow meaning this tide turning toward, we're not doing this, without outright defying orders, but you will see a change. They just brought back to my mind, remember in that forced participation of the July 4th parade, his parade, and remember those troops that walked out of step, right? That was sort of a coded visualization for their protest. That sort of thing is what we're going to see increasing. So I see the desire for prolonged occupation in DC, but the effectiveness of it and the ability to continue to fund it, and because all of this costs money, none of it's free, not going to happen. Not going to happen. There will be a turning away. They need leadership. The military is designed around that, right? And respecting leadership. And you're going to see one way or another within the leadership ranks of the military itself versus all of these talking heads in DC. You're going to see them start to take them back into the fold and help ground them and help redirect them. All right. And finally, I want to take a look at Ivanka and Jared. A lot of you have been asking, like, where are they? Are they coming back on the scene? Now, interestingly, Ivanka is apparently supposed to host. They're already putting things in place. Next year is the 250th anniversary of the USA, 2026, July 4th, 2026. And so apparently Ivanka has been approached to host a UFC fight. I don't know if it's on the White House lawn, where they're doing it, but like at the White House, she has agreed to do that. So she will be, her presence is being requested to do more within the administration. Jared, on the other hand, this is really interesting. So we know Jared's been working his deal with Affinity Partners. He started it in 2021. Raking in the dough with deals in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, right? But breaking news, or within the last few days, Jared's company, Affinity Partners, has also bought a sizable stake in a UK-based digital banking company. I wrote it down somewhere so you all could look it up. It's called Oak North, and I think it's all one word, Oak North. So this digital banking company, because Jared is making the money, is getting licensing in the U.S. All right. So to the extent that you all have been asking, are we going to see more of Jared directly tied to the White House or directly tied to DJT and his policies moving forward? Because keeping in mind, his cabinet is shaky. Right. His cabinet is shaky. I'm getting the sense that Jared can't, because of what he's doing behind the scenes to continue to bring in the money. Right? All right. Let me look at that. Spirit. Two things. Will we see more of Ivanka in the White House? Is she going to be more active and a presence with her father in the White House? We have the 8 of Pentacles. So she's gonna show up, but she's also going to be really careful about it. Like putting on an event being brought in for a special event like the 250th anniversary and the UFC. She apparently is into jujitsu and all of that. So yeah, that eight of Pentacles is saying, yeah, she's going to use her, do her hostess with the mostest thing to do that. But policy and politics, Ooh, Ace of Wands. Shut my mouth, Spirit. Interesting. Because he trusts her. And he is running out of, like, Bondi, Hegseth, Rubio, et al. He doesn't trust those people. He knows that they've pledged their loyalty. And so far, they've been, towing the line with loyalty. But real affinity, real trust doesn't exist. He absolutely worships the ground that she walks on. And I just pulled the Magician to confirm that. So I think what we're seeing, you all, is DJT is going to be increasingly turning to Ivanka to put some things in place that he wants to have happen, specifically with the White House, with events at the White House, with the tone of what happens within the White House. Just having her closer is what I'm getting. Like, he just wants to have her closer because he feels like he can trust her. And trust for him is becoming increasingly a thing. The paranoia is at like epic levels. We have the 6 of Pentacles. She will use it as an opportunity. Always. They're all transactional. She will use this as an opportunity And the Two of Pentacles, that's her partnering with him, with her father, Ivanka. So yeah, I do think we're going to see more of Ivanka, but it feels like Spirit is saying it will be more along the lines of special events, hosting, putting a face on certain events that other members in the cabinet are like, we don't even have time for any of that. We cannot do that. This whole the grand ballroom, is he going to try and have her involved in the this renovation, this $200 million ballroom? Is Ivanka going to be a part of that? The Four of Swords, she's trying to decide how should she even get involved in that, and also what role she would play in that. Seven of Wands, yeah, but she is being approached. So anything that has to do with the optics of the White House, of special events, of, the cachet of it, he's trying to bring her back into the fold, because the cabinet is like, we have way too much on our plates as it is. We don't have time for this. So he's trying to bring her in for that. You probably will see more of her in the coming months. Jared, there's too much at stake. Spirit, Jared Kushner. Will Jared Kushner be a more visible presence at the White House? Will Jared Kushner become a more visible presence at the White House? Will Jared Kushner become a more visible presence at the White House? Is he being brought in along with Ivanka? We have the Two of Wands. That's not a no. And the Eight of Cups, but he doesn't want to do it. He's like, look, let me stay out here and do what I'm doing and make the money. Because right now I'm making the money. I'm making the money hand over fist. Remember, a couple of years ago when things jumped off with Israel and Netanyahu and Gaza, he said, Kushner was talking about building these resorts on that waterfront property, right? Not off the table. All right, and the World. He's not doing it. Because he's already got so much in. He's already, this affinity partners, he's already so deeply entrenched in growing this money, basically. And again, keep your eye on this Oak North, investing now not just in Middle East, but going into Europe, right? Oak North is a UK-based organization, digital banker. So all of this cryptocurrency, digital banking, moving money electronically. But what's really key there is apparently this Oak North is gaining U.S. licenses to do business here. All right, you all. That's what I got for the day. I hope it was helpful. Really, really take good care of yourselves out there. I appreciate your support. Please keep an eye on, my website for bookings. Keep an eye. I can't believe I don't have it near me. My book. I do have a book. I'll put it up on the screen the next time. I'm terrible about, I'm a really good reader, you all, but I'm horrible at marketing. Pray for me on that. I'm trying to get better at it. But I have a book on reading tarot on Amazon called Make It Personal. That's just awful that I don't even have it near me where I could just grab a copy Oh, here we go. So, yeah, I'd appreciate your support. And if you want to read tarot and you want to see how I approach it, there it is. It's available on Amazon. Make It Personal. You can grab a copy of it there on Amazon. And check out my website, www.trulytouchedbytarot.com. If you want to book a personal reading with me, that's cool. Would love to meet you and do what we do. And otherwise, I always sign off, and I genuinely mean this. Chin up, right? Those protests, knowing that the sentiment of the people at large is not the sentiment that we see coming out of certain corners of the country, right? So keep your chin up and know who you are at all times. And when that chin goes up, those shoulders go back. Lifting yourself up, lifting your vibration, walking tall, not anxious, not defeated, not frightened, not coward, but also, believing in what you believe in, however that works for you, but walking in that essence, and also by all means, staying in touch with your heart, taking time to breathe deep, taking time to reset your nervous system, taking time to have compassion for yourself, and know that this is a moment in history. It's a really wild, crazy moment in history, but it is something that will pass, and we will put it behind us and hopefully come out better and more appreciative and more connected than ever before. All right? That said, take really good care. I'll check in with you in a few days. Be good. Bye.